Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back to today's episode of Healthy Living Happy Life, the podcast. I'm your host, Denise Siegel, menopause mentor, longevity concierge, your guide to building the life that you love. We are talking about health span here, my friends, not just lifespan. So, one of the things I want to talk about today, or I guess the main thing I want to talk about today, just may change everything for you. It may change your perspective. It may change how you feel. Because if you're feeling more tired than usual, um, that'll like we're feeling more tired than usual. I've been feeling tired, a little bit more tired than usual the last couple of days because I've been staying up late. But that's not what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? You're not sleeping well on a regular basis. Weight gain just kind of came out of nowhere. It's just been creeping up, right? Sleep, mood, energy has all shifted, and you can't quite put your finger on why. I want you to lean in. Okay. For those of you who are just listening, I am literally leaning in towards the camera. Okay. Because this episode is for you. Um, you may not realize it. And so many of us going through perimenopause, and even into menopause, we don't realize that these symptoms that are frustrating the heck out of us in midlife because of hormone imbalances. I hate to say imbalances, hormonal shifts, right? Hot flashes, brain fog, mood swings, joint pain. That's a new one for me. Um, or just say that sense of I just don't feel like myself. That's actually how uh, menopause started for me, or perimenopause, because I was in my late 30s, early 40s, because I just didn't feel like myself. Um, I just felt like I was kind of crawling out of my skin. And I just couldn't explain it. I'd never had hormonal shifts like that when I was young, so I didn't attribute it to perimenopause, mostly because back then nobody was actually using that word. But truly, if you're starting to get to this place where you're like, you just don't feel like yourself, things are just not working. This is actually your body's way of saying to you, hello, this is a wake up call. It's time for something different. You need a different type of support, or you need to support your body in a different way. And the word support is really important here because, in a roundabout sort of way, that's what we're going to be talking about. Um, I want, and in a roundabout sort of way, I'm basically talking about um, the most important, or one of the most important things you can do at this stage. Science-backed tools, like everything I talk about, I've read about, I've researched, either gone through it myself. But this is all science-backed information. And there's so many tools we have in midlife, but this one is one to keep in your back pocket. Not quite literally, but this is strength training. Okay, strength training is your friend. Ladies, you are not going to bulk up and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger if you lift a freaking weight. Okay, you're just not. Bodies aren't built the same way. Definitely, he looked pretty good back in the day, but definitely did not want that kind of body. But women don't get that type of body with the type of resistance training or strength training that I'm talking about. So why does it matter more than ever? Sure, when we were young, we needed, muscle and for strength and for playing and for all the things that we did when we were young. But for some reason, at this stage in life, strength training, like weight training, it sounds really intimidating. Um, Especially if it's not part of your regular routine. If you're like most women, okay, the majority of women, and I was one of these women too, you love cardio. You'll get on the elliptical and you'll get on there and you'll get your groove on and you're moving. And an hour later, you're looking at your calories and you're like, okay, burn 430 calories, just 20 more and I'll make it to 450. And that's exhausting, just doing what I was just doing there. Um, but at this stage, that actually working out like that type of exercise is actually working against us. Why? because as estrogen begins to decline, and again, this is something that starts progesterone more in our mid 30s and estrogen, depending on the person, in your mid 30s into your 40s. And by the time you're in your 40s and 50s, woohoo, muscle loss, you're losing muscle mass exponentially along with the drop in estrogen. Now, research from Harvard, and I like to quote Harvard, one, because my husband went there and I've been there several times. I went to Harvard too, technically. Well, not technically, but I've been there several times. So technically, I guess I can say I went to Harvard too. But this study from Harvard shows that we lose about 3 to 5% per decade of muscle mass if we do not actively do something about it. So if you're just sitting there going, no, I'll just do my elliptical. I'll just, make it a little faster. That's not helping you. And that muscle loss, um, if you have muscle now, that's great. You want to keep it. If you don't have a ton of muscle, it's going to get harder to actually build muscle. Um, and it doesn't, obviously, having more muscle, um, lean muscle means you have less fat. And that does affect the way you look, but it absolutely affects the way you live today and well into the future. I call myself the longevity concierge, but truly, truly, I should be calling myself more the health span concierge because it really isn't about living longer and longer. It's about living better as we live longer. So, what does less muscle mean, right? If we're losing muscle, it slows our metabolism down. Oh, you have weight gain? Guess what? Your metabolism could be a big part of that, right? So, less muscle, slower metabolism, weight gain. That's not fun. Decreased strength and energy. Well, I know so many women who, can't, when I'm at the airport and I grab my bag off the conveyor belt, I'm like, okay, I have my bag and there we go. But there are women younger than me who can't lift a bag that's even smaller than the one I have. And my bag is generally under 50 pounds, So because it's what TSA allows. Um, but if I can pick up a 50-pound bag, or most of the time, let's say it's probably 35 pounds, that's probably more the limit, my limit. If I pick up a 35-pound bag off of a carousel, right? And I'm 54. The lady who's 40, she should be able to do that without any second thoughts. That's the challenge that we're having. Decrease muscle, decrease muscle is decreasing our strength. Right. And that's an extreme example. But what about just getting up off the floor? Those commercials where they say, "Oh, I've fallen and I can't get up." Now, those are generally older women, but those women, when they were our age, had they been working on muscle strength, may have still fallen, but they would have been able to get themselves up off the floor. Energy. The less muscle, the slower our metabolism is. All of a sudden, we don't have the energy to do the things that we want to do. And so you think low energy, you might be able to get sleep, right? You have no energy, you're just tired, you're going to go to sleep. But then you don't have great sleep because potentially you've napped during the day. Not that napping is a bad thing, power naps, but I know people who will say, "Oh, I just need a nap," at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they have an hour, 2 hour nap. That's not good, right? That's actually going to affect the way you sleep at night anyway, and then that's just going to lead down another rabbit hole. But we're just doing everyday things, carrying your groceries, climbing the stairs, like I said, getting up off the floor. Um, we don't think about these things until they're gone, until we can't do them anymore. So I'm here to say, hey, we got to start thinking about this before it goes away. Dr. Jordan Metzel says, basically, I love this. Exercise is the closest thing we have to a magic pill in menopause. In menopause, guess what? That magic starts with movement. That starts with strength training. Truly, strength training done correctly. And I'm not saying I don't want you to spend hours and hours and hours in the gym. I'll get to that in a minute. done correctly and consistently, this is really important, can reverse all those things that I just mentioned. The carrying the groceries, climbing the stairs, getting off the floor, slow metabolism. It will increase your metabolism, will help you to lose weight. Oh, wait a minute, this sounds like a magic pill to me, right? Okay, you have to put a little bit of effort when taking this pill, but it's okay if we want to live and really live our lives in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, then we need to really start weight training, strength training today. So other added bonuses, bonuses, yeah, bonuses. Um, with muscle loss and uh, hormone loss, as it's decreasing, your your bones are actually affected. We have estrogen receptors in so many places in our body. You know, we think of estrogen and progesterone, testosterone is primarily sex hormones, but estrogens, actually all of them, they do so much more. And estrogen is one of those, I think it's just an amazing hormone because it does so many things. It is bone protective. So after 50, get this, after 50, 1 in 2 women will break a bone due to osteoporosis. I didn't know if you got that, but 1 in 2 is 50%. That's really scary. So if we're looking at me and my sister, if we don't weight train, one of us is gonna fall and break a bone. That's pretty scary. Luckily, we both do some weight training. Allie, if you're listening, make sure you continue with your weight training. And I know that's not a fun statistic, but it's an essential one for us to really understand and have knowledge that that is something that can potentially happen to us. Again, we think all of these things are way down the road. That happens when people are old. Well, we're older. I mean, we're always getting older, right? We're never getting younger. But as we age, these are symptoms of aging, but they're also symptoms of menopause. So you kind of can't have one without the other, right? So the good news, what have I been talking about? Lifting weights, strength training. Strength training, lifting weights puts the right kind of pressure on your bones. Well, think about it. When you lift something, I don't know what I was just lifting there. If when you lift something, yes, you're using your muscle, but you're also putting pressure on your bones. Um, like if you're picking up, like going back to a suitcase, if you pick a suitcase up off the floor, okay, I realize most of them roll nowadays, but bear with me, okay? If you pick a suitcase up off the floor, right? Um, you're lifting, you're using muscle, but what is that muscle attached to? It's attached to bone. Yes, exactly. So lifting weights is making us stronger, making our bones stronger, not weaker. I don't know why anybody would think that, right? According to the National Osteoporosis Foundation, regular strength training increases bone density and reduces fracture risk. So if the National Osteoporosis Foundation is telling us that, we should really take that and run with it, right? This is not just about staying fit, right? Although that's important. This is truly about staying independent as we grow older. Again, it's that health span that I like to talk about. Um, this next piece I like to talk about is something about, it goes a little deeper. It's not physical, it's more mindset, mood, emotional, has more to do with a bit of resilience. Um, and our mood and our mental clarity, we know if we're dealing with brain fog, our mood is a little off and our mental clarity is definitely foggy, right? A lot of my clients, when they come to me, they say, they're feeling more anxious, they're more irritable, slightly depressed during this stage in life. Um, And again, a lot of them initially don't connect the hormone changes to this. That's one of the things that I help people to understand. Obviously, I am not a doctor. I do live with one, but I am not a doctor. Um, I have been through all phases of menopause at this point. I am postmenopausal. I had a terrible experience. I've done so much research and reading and getting certified to truly be able to help women so they don't have to go through really what I did with years of not understanding what was going on and feeling shamed and really misheard. I mean, to the point where in 2010, so how old was I in 2010? I was 40. Yeah, I was about 40. I went to see my OBGYN, who at the time she was a nurse practitioner. I went to talk to her in 2010 about um, perimenopausal symptoms or menopausal symptoms. Didn't use that word peri because that didn't exist in my wheelhouse at this point. Guess what? It didn't exist in hers either. She basically said to me at 40 years old, it's just a phase, you're just getting a little older, maybe your hormones are doing something a little different. Really? A little different? What does that even mean? It didn't mean anything. It basically meant she didn't know how to help me. So my goal is to help you to understand what's going on in your body or potentially is going on in your body. So when you go to your doctor, you know the questions to ask, what the symptoms that you've really been having and how long you've been having them. Because I always say, with my clients, I always say, let's track everything, right? So let's connect now hormone changes with mood and all of that, and how this goes back to strength and power, right? What was the word I used initially? What was that word that I used initially? Support, right? And supporting you. So here's the connection. Strength training helps regulate cortisol, stress hormone. It's a hormone. Yes, it's not one of those sex hormones, but this is, if they were a top four, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and cortisol for menopausal women, these are the four that totally drive us bonkers, that make us frustrated, that give us the mood swings and all of the fun stuff. But cortisol, yes, that's stress hormone again. It also boosts neurotransmitters, those feel good hormones like serotonin and dopamine. Think about it. There's something called the runner's high, right? I don't always get that when I'm running, but I feel a very sense of accomplishment. I know when I have finished a workout here at my house, a strength training workout, um, and my muscles are to fatigue, they don't hurt, but they're at fatigue, and I feel so amazing. Strength training reduces anxiety. It improves your mood. It increases, this one I love, your self-esteem. Why? Because if you're doing something physical, you've done this on your own. You are, again, you're increasing your happy hormones, those serotonin and dopamine, so it actually improves your mood, right? And the American Psychology Association really supports research on strength training and mood, because we know if we are strength training and we're taking care of the mood and the anxiety and the self-esteem, and when we look in the mirror, we like what we see. Now, granted, you're not going to look like you're 25. Okay. If you're 55, guess what? You're going to look like you're 55, but you're going to look like the best 55-year-old you can possibly look like, right? Here is something that I want every woman to hear. And guys, if you're listening too, because this is really important, one, because you support the women in your life as much as they support you, I hope. This is not about perfection. That's a word we just need to cross out in our vocabulary, right? This is about preservation of your body, your mind, and your spirit, and your power. Women, we are powerful. Yes, we are. We can do so many incredible things when we set our mind to it, right? And if we're in the right mindset and we feel good and we don't have any anxiety, but we feel confident, think of the power that we have in our lives, in the lives of the people we love, in our communities, right? This is about reclaiming how you feel in your own body. Remember, I said before, if you're starting to feel like you don't feel like yourself, you look in the mirror, you're like, I don't know who this person is anymore. This is how to change that. Okay. To do that, we need to change some old fitness narratives. Okay. The one that says, I need to work harder. I need to do more, right? Oh, I don't have an hour, so it's not worth doing. I'm not going to do it today. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll find the time tomorrow, right? If you've ever said that to yourself, said it out loud, like I just did, I want you to stop right now. Stop that thinking. Pause right now. Pull the brakes or pull the brakes. We need to stop that thinking right now. It's not about working harder. It is about working smarter. An hour is not something you need. Okay. So who is telling us this, that we need to work harder? You need to work harder and eat less, work out more, eat less. That is diet culture. Okay. They've been messing with us since we were teenagers, ladies, right? But diet culture, though it never really was great for us, when we were younger, we could gain and lose weight a lot easier than we can now. Diet culture does not serve us in midlife and through menopause and beyond. Okay. After you get through menopause, guess what? You're postmenopausal for the rest of your life, right? Hormones are still doing their thing. They're still declining. So even though you may have had your last period and you're 12 months beyond that, happy day, that's your day that you are menopausal. And then that first day, that next day, very next day, you are postmenopausal. Again, for the rest of your life, right? Nobody talks about that. Why don't they talk about that? So, um, if you are pushing through intense cardio or really intense hit sessions, right? When your hormones are totally kind of going crazy, they're out of balance, or they're never 100% in balance. But when they're really just declining and through perimenopause, your hormones are just all over the place. You can actually make your symptoms worse if you are doing this intense cardio, long hit sessions. I mean, 45 minutes hit sessions. I hear people doing it all the time. And I bite my lip because if you're going to do a hit session, it needs to be 10 or 15 minutes, no more. No more, right? I mean, it's almost not worth getting sweaty for 15 minutes, is it? Yes, it absolutely is, because that is what's going to change your body. It's going to give you, you're going to grow muscle. You're going to get rid of fat, right? You're going to increase your metabolism, all the things we've talked about, all the good things, right? So I'm here to tell you to train smarter, not harder. Life is hard enough, right? For those of you who follow Dr. Stacy Sims, I love this because I'm asked this all the time. Denise, what's the best type of exercise? Well, Dr. Stacy says the best kind of exercise is the one you'll actually do consistently. Duh. And for midlife women, those of us going through menopause, strength training tops the list. Okay. So if you're going, oh, I'm just going to go on the elliptical for an hour. No, stop doing that. Pick up a weight. Definitely want you to start slow. If you've never weight trained, if you've never picked up a weight before, do start slowly. I would recommend either working with a trainer, a personal trainer. I am not a personal trainer. I work with one myself. And there are lots of videos, and I'll actually put a link to my trainer in the show notes. I should probably tell her that I'm going to do that. So what actually works? We're talking about strength training. What does that even mean? What is that midlife strength training formula? And this is what I've been taught. This is what I have read and researched. But truly, this is what I have been taught by my trainer. 2 to 3 short strength-based workouts a week, 20 to 30 minutes. Most of the ones that I do are about 30. And that's with a warm up and a cool down, or the 30 is with warm up and cool down. Movements that build strength, flexibility, and balance. Think about this. You want to have strong muscles, but they need to also be flexible, right? So you're not pulling muscles all the time, and you can actually bend down and reach your toes to tie your shoe, but also have the ability to balance if you have to bend over to tie that shoe. The next thing is daily movement. Talked about this strength training, and that's important. And I always pick on cardio. because we do too much of it as an exercise. But daily movement is different. Walking, stretching, riding a bike. I mean, even this sounds silly. Standing on one leg while you're brushing your teeth. That's a balance exercise, but you're also strengthening your core. I know, crazy, right? Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? And yes, you can do this at home. I work out from home. I travel quite a bit with my husband, so being consistent at a gym just doesn't work for me. So when I'm home, I have my weights, my stuff here. When I'm traveling, I take resistance bands with me. If I'm gone for a long period of time, I actually have water weights. They're literally these rubbery plastic things that you fill with water, and you attach them to what basically looks like a dumbbell, and voila, I have weights. Um, Again, this isn't about shrinking your body. It's not about losing weight, right? I don't focus on weight loss or, diet per se, like being on a diet. I focus on, especially today when we're talking about strength training, this is about supporting your health, supporting your hormones, and supporting your happiness. I mean, think about this. If you don't feel well, if you are struggling with anxiety and mood swings and uh, night night sweats, hot flashes, uh, that is affecting you in every aspect of your life. And if you're somebody who is just, looking for, just you just want to be happy, you just want to be back to the person you want to be. Um, when you're strength training and you're on the road to a healthy body, now you're probably already halfway there, right? Happiness is such a big part of what we want to experience in life. And if we're not strong, if we're not sleeping, if our cortisol levels are through the roof, we are never going to find the happiness that we seek. Once we have these pieces, mental, physical, and emotional health and strength, that happiness that we always seem to be searching for will never elude you ever again. So when you shift your focus to energy, mood, movement, your results change, right? So that it's not about losing weight, it's about creating energy, it's about increasing your mood, it's about moving with intention, right? The whole idea of don't forget to get your 10,000 steps in, you know, whatever. It's really, if we're just focused on getting 10,000 steps, that's like 5 miles, but you're walking here and there. It's great. You're going to, burn off maybe a few calories, but you're not building muscle. So yes, it's important to do cardio for your heart, for heart health, going out for a walk in nature for, your emotional and mental health. But truly, these are not things that are going to move the needle when it comes to strength. So focus on energy, mood, and movement will change your results. Your confidence will go through the roof. Your identity expands. You are someone bigger in your heart than you were when you started. You feel like you again. Isn't that what we're looking for in the first place? So if you're not doing anything yet, then if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I know what I need to do now, but I'm just not doing it. I just want you to know you are not alone. I would say half the women that I talk to going through in midlife, um, they say the same thing. Well, I know what I should be doing, but they don't. Okay. You're not alone. And it's not, don't feel bad, right? Starting small builds momentum. And I say this all the time to my clients. Just do one thing consistently every day, right? If you can do 10 wall push-ups, not that hard. You lean your body up against the wall and you push up against the wall. Start with 10 of those. Body weight. You can do 10, maybe next week you could do 20, right? Starting small builds momentum. Start with 5 minutes a week or 5 minutes a day, just five. That's it. Like I said, do those 10 wall push-ups or whatever it is that you like to do. Sometimes while I'm waiting for the the coffee to be made, I will stand there and stare at it and do squats or plies or something that I know is movement, but also creating some muscle as well. So again, start with 5 minutes, just 5. That's it. That's where I want you to start. You don't need motivation, right? You just need momentum. You just need a moment to start. And that moment could change everything. So your next step, let me, in closing, if you want to try a workout, a 20-minute workout, one that actually comes with nutrition, I have made it easier. I've created the Menopause Power Plan just for you. And you can download it from the links that you'll find in the show notes. Of course, if you really want to talk and connect on a deeper level, maybe really get your momentum going, you can always give me a shout out, book a strategy session. That link is also in the show notes. And we will create a holistic routine that actually works for you. When I say holistic, I mean body, mind, and spirit. We're going to eat real food. We're going to make good decisions. We're going to be accountable, right, to ourselves first and foremost. But I'd like you to remember this. You don't need to do it all, right? You just need to do what matters. So thank you for joining me today on this episode of Healthy Living, Happy Life. Until next time, I leave you with this. Always well, I said it, healthy living, happy life. But today, let's use a different one. Until next time, stay strong, my friends, stay grounded, and keep choosing you.